Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome once again to the underground lair where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. Today, we are going to be inking this sketch, this little world, there we go, right set up. This little world inside of a fishbowl, and it's sort of analogous to the topic that I'm going to talk about today because as artists, we tend to kind of, at least online, we kind of stay in these little microcosmic artist communities. And I think it's a good idea to sort of branch out beyond that and promote our work to other areas, other people that may not necessarily be artists, and kind of broaden our horizons. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And again, we're going to ink this sketch, so let's get to it. Hey everyone, good to be back with another drawing video. It seems like it's been a while. I kind of missed the Artcasters last week, and previous to that I put out sort of behind the scenes look at the Halloween pirate yard haunt that I built with a friend of mine. So it seems like it's been a while since I've done a drawing video, or an inking video in this case, which you can see the drawing is already pretty much penciled out. Now I'm just kind of going in with some ink. And trying to finish this thing up, and ooh, I didn't want that line to be that big. I think I can fix it though. Anyway, so this picture sort of sparked an idea when I was drawing it, and this is sort of a conceptual type idea of this universe inside this fishbowl. And I don't know, it kind of spoke to me, and I started thinking about. I started thinking about this concept in the sense of an artist and kind of the world that artists sort of live in, as far as, you know, how to get out there, make a name for yourself, how to build a following and everything. And it kind of speaks to that in the way that the world is a very big place, but sometimes we look at it as not so big, like it's contained in this, kind of like the the image shows, in this fishbowl. So is it a big world? Is it a small world? It's a little bit of both. I remember kind of when I first started, trying to make my way as a professional artist. I mean, things were very different then, and in some ways it was kind of easier to be a professional. In a lot of ways, I think it's a lot easier now. Back then, a lot of the practices and things that I did back then, those avenues more or less aren't really around anymore. Things have just changed quite a bit. But I think with the advent of the internet, I think this has opened up so many other ways, and sometimes it's hard for somebody like me who's sort of set in those old ways to kind of realize that or get a handle of it. But yeah, I'm making a go at it and everything, and it seems like it's slow going, but I know that the opportunities and I know the possibilities are there. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is trying to figure out how to sort of build this following, and not necessarily just. I mean, most of the people watching this right now are other artists, and I try to interact with the artist community, and I mean, it's such a huge part of who I am, and kind of my life as an artist is interacting with other artists online and everything. And that's one of the great benefits of the internet, something that I really couldn't do before, not that easily. I mean, you can go, sometimes we'd meet up with other artists and stuff, and it's still good to go out and do that, but it is good to have that access to people, to other artists and like-minded people that it was kind of hard to find. You'd have to kind of search for that. But sometimes, we kind of need to look outside of sort of our artist communities. Not to abandon them by any stretch of the imagination. You want to keep that strong. But I think so many artists get into the habit of sort of only staying in these artist communities. And when you're trying to build a name for yourself, sometimes it's difficult if you're just marketing to other artists. What I'm kind of trying to do with sort of Serkworks and the type of work that I do, it took me a while to kind of find where my audience is. And now I do have that audience of other artists and everything like that. but I don't know, exactly how sustainable that is. So I've kind of realized that a lot of the people that like my stuff, because it's very science based, it's very, science or sci-fi, and then and then it goes on to geeky stuff. So kind of that geeky science, aesthetic, I guess, is kind of what I go for. And I find that a lot of the people that really resonate with what I do and that love my stuff and keep coming back are people like, science teachers, or people, or like engineers and things, people that aren't necessarily artists, but they find something in the work I do, probably because the theme and everything. Now, the difficult thing is I'm so used to, it's easier for me to sort of reach out to other artists and things like that, and I know kind of where to find them. Whereas, as far as this kind of other market, it's a little difficult, and I'm doing my best to do that. I don't know if you guys happen to follow, if you're on Pinterest, if you follow me on Pinterest, one of the things that I'm doing is that I'm really trying to, a lot of the pins and things I share are like science humor, because I do try to add a little humor in a lot of the things that I do as well. But science humor, or just I've got a board that's all mad scientist type stuff that I find, and just geeky stuff, because I found that those are the people that that are interested in what I do, other than artists. And I think the artists will naturally come, because I'm there. No matter what, they're going to know about me. It's finding these other people, and that's the difficult thing. So it takes a while, but I'm going to try to build that. I'm going to try to go other places where sort of that geeky type. Now, I say geeky, but that's a big part of, I think, just the artist community in general. A lot of us are geeks, myself included. If you go to a comic convention, that's considered kind of geek-based, but a little, kind of narrow that down, a little more niche is kind of what I'm looking for. Because I found that where comic conventions and things like that used to be a kind of a good route for me, that's sort of becoming more difficult, trying to sell your own stuff in a world where people are only pretty much mostly interested in fan art and things that they've seen before, not so much interested in discovering new things. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I guess the whole idea around this is to, instead of being an artist in a sea of other artists, trying to be the one artist in an entirely different scene. Now, and that's kind of phrasing that. Obviously, I'm not going to be the only one artist doing like science-based, humor. But one of the things that I found is that when I do, because I am big into this whole mad science aesthetic, and this whole theme of this mad science, this place where if you were a mad scientist, that's where Serkworks is the place you would go to purchase your stuff. It's almost like if the Acme company that Wile E. Coyote ordered stuff from actually existed. Here's this crazy super genius, and that's where he goes to get his stuff. So likewise, that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is create Serkworks Art Labs as the place where mad scientists go, either for inspirational prints to hang on their walls, or I also sell things like science themed bow ties. So if you want to look good while they're trying to take over the world, all that kind of stuff. In addition to other things that I do, and everything sort of has that science angle. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to go sort of a niche market. And I found that even, like I said, if I'm on Pinterest and I'm sharing things, it's almost like out of all of the images out there, sometimes it seems like I've exhausted a lot of those images, like mad science type images to share. Now, it gets into different offshoots. Some are a little more horror and everything. I try to keep my stuff a bit more fun, and I'm really picky about the things that I do pin, like graphic design and that aesthetic, and how these pins look is a big thing, because sometimes I'll post like experiments for kids, but if it's put together in a way that really has really bad design or just is not attractive, I don't post it. But anyway, like I said, it seems like sometimes I run out of things to post, either because I'm super super picky or whatever. But that leads me to think, and also in other searches that I do when I'm searching other people's boards, I don't see really anyone doing what I'm doing. Now, hopefully that's a good thing and not a bad thing. Maybe people aren't doing it because it's just not feasible, which I don't believe at all. I think there's definitely a market for what I'm trying to do. I just need to find the right people and let people know who I am and what I'm all about. And sometimes that's tricky because as I'm trying to explain to you people listening to what I'm doing, it's a little hard to get the entire gist, and sometimes I have to give a pitch, and you can't always do that with just somebody stumbles upon an image that you posted or something like that. What's this guy all about? But that's kind of what I'm trying to do. So it's a good thing for I think you guys out there to kind of think the same. Other than artists, which we're always going to market to, and people are always going to appreciate what we do because they're doing the same things. What markets can you kind of look at? What do you do that's different that a lot of other artists aren't doing, and how can you kind of tap that market, and how can you be successful doing that? Because there's people out there, and I know just by going to conventions, and again, it's the small number of people that resonate with what I do and what I'm selling, and kind of the image that I'm putting out there. It's a small group of people within that comic book scene, where a lot of people are, again, just they're kind of interested in what they already know, fan art and things like that. But those people are out there, and those people are so excited. It just stands to reason that there's many, many more people out there just like them, and to either somehow get into that market. So that's what I'm trying to do. Now, based on that, if you guys, I've got a lot of things that I haven't even talked about yet, and other things that I'm doing to try to tap those markets. But if you guys have any suggestions or your own ideas of how to reach out to these kind of niche markets outside of just the artist community, what do you guys do to find success doing that and everything? I'd really like to know. We can have a conversation. Let me know. Leave a comment in the comments section. Subscribe, do all that cool stuff. I really appreciate it. And I've got a lot of big things that I'm working on behind the scenes. It seems like I haven't been out there as much. I'm still trying to put out a video every week, but I definitely got some more cool stuff in plan and already in the works for the upcoming year. So super excited about that. Thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, thanks for commenting, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys later. That is all.